exciting day in the painting realms. With me, I brought back Bill, kicking and screaming from the Varanspire. Good to
Oh
have
man,
you back, man.
yeah, it's good to be back.
Yeah.
Man, it's the first time I've heard that one today.
Yeah, we just had like an audio issue or something before. Nope. Not on my good old channel.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Anyway, here we are now, so it's all good. I can see it. Everything's functioning. So
Cool,
we're
cool.
good.
So you know what's going on. That's probably good too, because the dry open had an error with the display. So that's fine. We're good.
Everything's
That was a
good.
test
Yeah,
run.
here we
Yeah.
are.
Working
Yeah.
out the kicks, but yeah. So you're working on a Turnus.
Yeah.
Yeah, I built one of those myself. I really like the kit. Haven't painted them yet.
Yeah, I'm debating whether, I don't know if I'll run Eternus as Eternus often, or if I'll more often run him as the other guy. I'm just gonna pick the bits I like, and we're gonna go from
I like that idea because I don't think you ever
there.
run both of them in the same list.
I don't think so.
No.
And
Paint them
I
with your
mean,
Bellicor scheme.
I don't care enough to be like, oh, that one's the Eternus, and that one's obviously not.
Yeah,
I don't care.
absolutely.
So we're gonna do it however the heck I'm feeling.
Yeah,
As we go.
let the creative juices flow, man.
Exactly.
Yeah, and a little bit of hobby progress for me. I did my Flesh Eater Court Pope.
Yeah.
Region. Yeah, and if you
He's
remember
sweet.
the zone from Caelid, which is like in Elden Ring, covered in like all the rot, and it had like the Tyrannosaurus dogs.
I
just tried to
don't.
do the
I still
bases like
don't.
that. That's wild to me. That's like the most iconic thing from that game for me. But if you see it, you'll see it.
I'm sure I'd remember it.
Yeah.
So.
But yeah, I don't think I announced it in the channel, but I sold off my Flesh Eater Courts, and I'm doing an entire Kit Bash army. Like some 3D printed models from Arc Villain Game. Today I'm going to be working on my Vorgold Courtier.
Nice.
It's a little hard to see that it's prime black, but it's the Demon Prince kit. And I cut off I didn't put the arms on. I green stuffed the wings on to where the arms are. Put spines on his back. Used the man for the bat hat head.
I'll be honest, he looked Oh, yeah, okay. He does. Yeah. For some reason, when I saw him in the Discord channel, I'm like, did you get a whole nother Bellicor to make this guy?
No.
That's what he looked like at first to me.
If you look at the two kits, they're pretty similar, though.
They are. Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's why I probably got confused. I just didn't have the scale.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, the thing I noticed is that they're both 60mm bases right from the get-go.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then what I thought would be really cool is, like, I didn't attach the rock on his foot. I want him coming out of, like, a fountain of blood. And I'm going to try to learn how to do, like, the water effects of, like, splashing.
Sweet. That'll be awesome.
Yeah, I think it'll be great. Probably a lot of work, but...
It happens.
We'll do it on one, and if we hate it...
Yeah.
We could do
Always good to
something
try
else.
the thing for the first time, because then if you like, oh, I could do that, and you're doing a bunch of stuff, that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, anything new with you, man?
Nothing really.
Nothing really, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't want to dwell on it, but some of you might be here from Warhammer Weekly. I just want to say thank you to, like, coming to check out the channel after seeing me on that show. I think I did a good job. But it was a dream to be there. Yeah, and I could teach you the splash effect. Absolutely. Yeah. How you doing, Andrew? Good to see you. But yeah. So, I'm excited. Want to talk about the reveals a little bit? I'm not going to pull up pictures, but there was a reveal show last night.
I think the general consensus was a little underwhelming.
Yeah, I think a little bit. There's some really cool stuff. Let's talk about the big one first. I thought Seraphon was going to be the spring book with like a resculptor too, and it was going to be done.
Yeah, they're getting a lot of resculpts.
Yeah. They showed 3, and they said that's less than half, which means a minimum 8, which is a ton.
Yeah, I mean that's really true.
So that's awesome. Good for Seraphon players. Hopefully that book's well written, unlike the last one.
What do you think? Are we actually going to get a new Salamander?
They better.
Are they going to leave the old Salamander, or are they going to cut the Salamander?
I think they're going to get a new Salamander.
Okay, all right.
That's what I would think. Yeah, that makes sense to me. That'd be funny if they cut that.
Yeah, it's just like,
the best
actually,
unit in that book. Yeah. That'd be hilarious. But yeah, they showed a new Salon, which, of course,
The new Salon was pretty sweet.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't love Salon like from a lore's perspective much. Like, it's just like a fat frog, but I do want to point out
really?
though that from a technical standpoint, like the illusion of floating is so strong on that base with like so little contact.
Yep.
Like, they did such a fantastic job. I hope it's not like the Mortark models where you put them on the table and they like jiggle like a bobblehead for 15 minutes.
Oh my god. Yeah, those models are crazy.
I love them, but yeah.
I feel like I have some models that do that too, but I can't remember which.
You definitely do. I can't remember,
yeah.
but yeah. But yeah, we got Salon, we got new Saurus, and then we got a new unit of like
the little
skinks on raptor dudes.
Yeah, skinks on raptors
with like the bird feathers. They're cool.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things where it's like the Seraphon player's probably thrilled about all these developments.
Yeah. And then they announced it's the summer book, and failed to mention anything else about the books in between.
Literally anything.
Yeah.
Yep. It's like, okay, that's weird.
It's like, well, we know what the Chaos ones are going to be. The other Order one at this point is, I would put a lot of money on KO.
I mean, it's got to be, right?
Yeah. And then it's probably still fucking OBR.
All right.
Yes.
Here's the game I want to play right now.
Sure.
Let's make an assumption for a second that they're going to do something really weird and put out a second version of an order book instead of KO for a different order faction. Which one is it going to be?
Lumineth is the obvious joke answer.
But well, they haven't revealed anything for Lumineth, right? And Lumineth.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So I'm not thinking Lumineth.
But you're talking about the Underworld Warband, which was just like the same CAD files as the previous Witch Elves, but with like a tunic on them.
Wait, what?
Oh, the Underworld Warband?
Oh yeah, no, I did see that vaguely.
Yeah. So you're like, oh, it's gonna be Daughters of Cain because they're doing yet again another warband for them. Yep.
Yeah, there you go. It could be something like, they're like, we've had to do way too much to bring Stormcast up to speed, so we're gonna redo Stormcast again now. They haven't done that in the past, but they could.
That would probably suck, but I would not hate that entirely.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather they not did that, of course, but
yeah, me too.
I don't think it's going to be Cities, though, just because I think Cities is going to be Dawnbringer.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought that would be now.
I just wanted to dash all the KO's players' hopes a little bit.
Just a touch, yeah. That's rude hypothetical, yeah.
Yeah, just a random hypothetical and dash some hopes.
Of a thing that would never happen, but yep. For sure.
But it's definitely happened in the past.
Yeah. You're right.
That's the only reason I brought it up, because they've definitely done it.
And then the last one was the Warcry box, which I'm very mixed about. And you seem pretty positive overall about it.
Yeah, I like that one a lot more than I think you did.
I like the Terranat guys a lot more than I think you did too. Funnily enough, like we like each other.
I like those guys a lot.
Okay, cool.
I definitely did. Yeah, no, I like pretty much everything in that box. I only commented to you on the vampires because you seemed a little down on them, and I thought they were really cool.
I love the idea of them like a warrior monk thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think their armor is perfect, and then there's like some that are like beastmen or half beastmen.
Yeah,
those are like perfect sculpts.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them are like, what's going on with the face? I can't tell. And you're like, oh, he's just got a smug face. I'm like, I don't know if that's a lip. I don't know if his tongue's sticking out. Like, I don't get it. Like, I literally can't tell.
To me, it just looked like his lip, and it was just like him just being super smug.
Yeah, did he get like punched
That's
also? Yeah.
I mean, when you're being smug, you have a very punchable face. So
that's true.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
So, and like, I don't know why they do that. Like, they did it with the Blood Knights too. Like, with the not helmeted versions have like long hair sticking straight up.
I think
why are we doing this? Are they like landing?
I don't know. I think for whatever reason, I bet it's a sculpting thing where hair standing straight up is way easier.
Yeah, probably.
Going in other directions, so
mm-hmm.
That's just my guess.
Maybe, yeah. So, I think with a good head swap, at least for me, there'll be a perfect 5 out of 7. But God, I don't like many of the head options in that kit.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yep.
Fair.
That's just my opinion on it, but Having like some sort of like foot vampire unit's pretty cool. And like if it's somewhere like the Rotmeyer Creed, that'll be really fun too.
Yeah.
But like I'm still probably gonna stick to my hordes, but I definitely want a box or two of them. So I'm not like that disappointed with them.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna do something with the head and call it a day. And then the Karanak guys I thought were really cool too.
Yep. Yeah, like the guy who's like who's basically like becoming
like a flesh hound.
A flesh hound. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was kind of funny. But then there was one that I think the leader was really good. Like they have two different heads for the leader, it looks like. And they like in the main picture, it's like, oh, that's kind of a boring head, and he looks like everybody else. And then you see like the actual picture of him, like with the other head, and it's like, oh,
Hold
wait, no, he's actually really good. Hang on. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's like, why did you even make that other head? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Who's ever going to use that?
That happens a lot. I feel like there's like, oh, here's the obvious winner head choice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's funny. But yeah, overall, I think those are going to be really cool. The terrain in that box is a little weird to me. Of just like the square made out of bamboo. But I think they wanted like real walls. Yeah.
See, I liked that terrain better actually. I think it's more functional. It still kind of has the look. I feel like the terrain that came in the other boxes of this were like just a little too airy for me. And I think I like like a little bit.
Sure, yeah. No, yeah, don't get me wrong. I think it's a way better like practical design.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And I love it from that standpoint. Yeah, actually, you know what? I don't really have a real complaint.
I like a good box.
It doesn't look as fancy, but that's fine.
Sure. Yeah. No, I think that's
I take back what I said, yeah. And then I guess the Marines people were like lukewarm on, but I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know what they look like.
Dude, I didn't look at them at all.
Yeah, Marines are math homework to me, anyway. I probably would look at it and be like, that's a Marine.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I vaguely looked at something and went, doesn't that model already exist? And moved on.
Full of 99% of all death models. Which is the one I don't have, actually. And don't say Flesh Eater Courts because I just sold them. But before that, there's actually one death model I don't own.
Is it the zappy zombies?
I did get them. They're not painted.
Oh, you did get those. Okay.
Yep.
All right. I liked those a lot. I thought those were great.
I think the rules aren't good, but I don't care. No, I like the sculpts too.
Yeah.
Rules come and go, baby. Models are forever.
Dude, this is literally just a dreadnought. What's going on?
Are you looking at them?
Yeah, I pulled them up.
Okay.
Okay, I see. He's got flamers on the front, I think. Mm-hmm. Is that his difference? Maybe.
Well, what you're doing right now is what I do whenever anyone shows me a Marine anything.
Yeah.
Not to be like super down on it. It's just it's not for me.
Yeah.
Let me put it that way.
The next ones down are like, I think they're supposed to be the missile guys for Primaris, I guess.
Yeah.
That's what it kind of looks like to me. Okay. Mm-hmm. I guess they were gonna make those eventually. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Look, I bet you these are lieutenants. Oh yeah. Yep. Don't care. Okay. Anyway, yeah, that was super boring. Great. I'm glad we got through that.
Yeah. But yeah.
What is this next one? This one actually looks cool. Oh yeah, these guys are sweet.
Who are these guys? Maybe I should pull them up.
The next one down, the Wrath of the Soul Forge King. Whoever that guy is with all the weird I'm pretty sure he's Chaos Space Marine guy, kind of.
Oh, like in the so you clicked which article again?
Vashtor the
yes, they did show
the Dark Angel's home. See, there you go. Now you have good Marines, right?
Yeah.
Because you got your Dark Angels who are the obviously superior Marines, and then against Chaos Space Marines who are obviously also superior to all other Marines. Yeah. And what a great box! There we go. I love it.
Vashtor, I think they showed him off last reveal stream.
Yeah.
And that model was sick.
Dude, that thing's amazing.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite. Even I think trans game.
Right. Yeah. No.
Period. Yeah.
I can use that for something else in AOS too. I'm sure. Shit, man.
Yeah.
That dude, he's incredible.
Probably just Demon Prince sized anyway. If you really
he looks
think about
big.
It. Yeah.
He looks big. Well, okay. Staying next to Cultist, maybe not as big as I thought. Yeah, he might just be. If he's just Demon Prince size, then he's a Demon Prince, and there we go. Like.
Yep, and add to your ever-growing collection of Demon Princes.
Right. Well, I mean, I want more Demon Princes anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know why at this point, because well, they're okay, but they all look cool.
They're your favorite thing to paint.
Yeah.
They're your favorite like conceptual model, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong. Other than like Archeon.
Well, I mean, what is Archeon but like riding what is kind of like a Demon Prince in a lot of ways?
Exactly.
Yeah. So, anyway.
But like the big chaotic beast leader.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in.
Do you have cool wings? All right, sign me up.
Yep.
That's why I'm never making one of the ones with the
weapon rack.
Yeah, it's like no, the wings make this model.
Yeah,
I'm not doing it.
I definitely agree. I just think it has its purpose too.
Oh, that's fine. It can have a purpose in the game, and if I ever want to run it, I'm going to tell you. This guy with the wings, I guess, has the trophy rack instead because I'm not making one. And that's that. You got a problem with it? Well,
yeah, absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. I'll put it that way. And then, yeah. So, I think that was it, right? But overall,
yeah, I think that was it. Yeah,
pretty cool stuff.
Yeah.
But like, there was
a kill team. Yeah, there's a bunch more. Yeah, there's a kill team thing. There was a. It looks like a yet another tank for whatchamacallit.
Okay.
It's literally it's for Horse Heresy. It's the same tank again, just with like a different gigantic gun in the front. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, don't care.
I think you make the joke all the time of how much money has that Rhino CAD file made them.
Yeah, now they're doing this other one and trying to make an equal amount of money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure. Yep. Okay. Good show. Good stuff. Alright. And then, Alright, yeah, I think we should get into the topic, yeah?
Yeah, let's do it.
Alright, let's see. Do I have it set up right? So, we wanted to talk today about Ossiarch Bone Reapers. What we don't like about them, what we would change. I think, on a surface level, I think, like, the playstyle feel is pretty correct, right? Like, they're slow-ish moving. I know you say that the plus 3-inch movement is makes that pretty deceptive, but
it does.
They're not like a cavalry army flying around. Or like Iron Jaws with like I can double move up to 3 things.
Yeah.
And 3 of them are cavalry units. Yeah. So they're like a medium to slow army with like a lot of inevitability. Kind of like Nurgle in a way, right? But I think that playstyle is completely right. Just like longevity, pretty good damage, not a lot of like delivery mechanisms. I think what's wrong is a lot of the steps in between and how to get there.
Yeah, it's kind of like they feel right at the end, but like to get there, you're just like wielding this kind of unwieldy thing around.
Yeah. Like I set up the electrical appliances, it works great, but I go into the shed and it's like, oh, this is going to cause a fire.
Yeah.
Yep. And the fire that it causes, you don't get to play with the 3rd edition rules.
Yeah, at all.
Yeah. And so, like, I guess it's actually kind of divisive on whether, like, when OBR gets a redesign, they should have Relentless Discipline points or not. Yeah. I'm going to put the floor to you on this one. What do you think of that? Should they?
Well, okay, so, I mean, I think that's an interesting question in that they have to be, in 2nd edition, right, they were different than command points. They actually did something different, right?
Yep.
And in 3rd edition, well, they basically used it seemingly as a blueprint for what 3rd edition was going to do, right?
Yeah.
Maybe they did that intentionally or not.
Yep.
So if they're going to keep them as like a concept, they again need to do something different, or else they should just be the points themselves.
Right.
If you're going to break the rules, don't break the rules just to do the same function, right?
Yeah, and I think it's very, very clear, especially how like the general handbooks have been going, that were just doing a lot of playtesting for 4th edition. And I don't think that was any different, and that this was probably just a playtest for how they wanted command points to work.
Sure. Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah, Makes sense. I think it's even good because it's like practical knowledge.
Yeah. And yeah, so they're working on all the different, the different rule changes that they want to eventually incorporate in the game full time.
And it's like, it's never going to be final because there's always going to be new additions, so let's try things. Yep. And I think we said a lot, too, is like, we really like when they do try new things.
Yep.
And I think that's great. However...
See, I'm still proud of them for trying Bounty Hunters, because it was bold.
Yep.
It didn't work. It was bad, but it was bold, and that's fine. I'm glad they tried it.
Absolutely, yeah. Because what if it did work? It's like, okay, now we have something. But it didn't.
Yeah, right? It's like, yeah.
And also,
I mean, it did succeed at something. It succeeded at getting people not to take a 1-drop all the time, right?
Yeah.
If anything, that is something it definitely succeeded in.
And maybe that's like a good experiment, too, is like, we need to find the line of how exactly powerful a battalion needs to be to not be a 1-drop.
Exactly. Yep.
Which is a good thing to try to find.
Yep.
So that's a great point. That being said, I think I've said it a couple times in the show, and you know this too, is like, it didn't feel bad to have like RDP in last edition for exactly the reason you said. You hit the nail right on the head. It was a completely different thing.
Yeah.
It feels terrible this edition because it's command points, but not named command points, so you can't do command abilities.
Exactly. Yeah, it's all broken, right?
Yeah.
They broke it entirely.
Yeah, and if they want to keep Relentless Discipline around and like make it functional and functionally something different, like I guess that's fine. Make it work differently, do different things.
Yeah.
A little bit Oh, go ahead.
I was just saying they have to do that though. They can't just be like, you know what? No, we're just keeping the same thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's just gonna feel bad.
Yeah, and I have faith in whatever they do is going to be good because like these books have been like,
yeah,
even like the slight rewrite ones are like, here's a core problem addressed and an amazing solution that breathes so much life into this book.
Mm-hmm.
So like even the worst books are good, I would say. So like we live in the best AOS time right now.
So far, yeah, it really has been.
Really has been, no doubt. Like most army balance too. And, like, we can complain about bounty hunters all you want, but, like, in my groups, we just decided not to use it until tournaments, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm fine with that. So, the reason... I'm going to put issues... Actually, issue is RDP. Relentless Discipline. Points. It's bad. And the reason I think they should just ultimately go forever is because like we're sitting here in like a year and a half of like an army that doesn't get to play this edition, right? That's unacceptable. And then when the next edition comes out, like this could just happen all over again if they have like something like RDP, unless they're very careful about it, right?
I guess here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
It just so happened that this edition changed command points drastically, right?
Sure.
Most armies break the rules in some way, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it could hit any book at any time where they decide to change a system that their particular book breaks, right? So I don't think we have to be too careful about like changing this one in particular because it could really happen to any system in the game that they change fundamentally and then it just totally breaks a book, right?
Yeah. Well, counterpoint. How many systems are inherently like designed that say you can't use the core system in this game as like a sentence?
I mean, okay, so anything that builds off of an existing system, it's true that there aren't a lot, but anything that builds off of an existing system, if that system changes so much, it could just render anything useless, right?
It can render it useless, yeah.
Yeah.
But
which is even honestly worse than I think than RDP in a way. Although maybe it would get changed quicker. So yeah. I guess I kind of see what you're saying.
Yeah, my argument is like if you just say you can't use the core rules, here's our different core rules, you're gonna run into an issue.
You're asking for trouble.
Yeah, it's technical debt. Like every time you look, I mean, like that's not wrong, am I?
No.
It's like every time you look at like command points, you have to look at how like OBR is affected by this, and then like catch them up. And, like, hopefully much faster than they did this time.
Oh my god, yeah, hopefully.
Yeah, they should have been one of the earlier books for sure.
We kept saying, it's like, hey, they should get the next book, because it makes sense that their book isn't well designed for this.
Yeah. And, like, it was a great book in second edition. Yeah, it just does... yeah, it's too contradictory.
Yep.
So I would like for them to go back to, commands. To, like, normal command points.
Okay.
RDP gone is how I would feel.
So what's this shtick gonna be, then?
So, what's RDP supposed to represent, right?
Mm-hmm.
The most tactically advanced army in the game. Can't use the tactics in the game right now. But, like, RDP is supposed to make them the most tactically advanced.
Mm-hmm.
So, keep the name the same. Relentless Discipline. New rule. Relentless Discipline. I'm just typing it out, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is how it reads. You may issue the same command more than once per phase. Period.
There you go.
Yep. So, also, how it's written in the book right now is you have that command ability, or the heroic action that lets you issue RDPs for free. Keep that. And then Liege Cavalos and Catacross give you extra command points.
Okay, so we're starting with a very powerful ability.
Right, which points can
so we
change.
gotta be careful with. Yeah, we gotta be careful with the rest.
Mm-hmm.
That's an interesting starting point.
Yeah, I think that's the way to do it. I forget the name of that command right now. But keep OBR heroic actions. I like both of them a lot.
I don't know them off the top of my head.
One of them just says you can issue RDP or relentless commands without RDP being spent.
Oh, okay, that's.
And then the other one is your first spell on this hero can't be countered.
Oh, those are very good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see any reason not to keep those.
Liege Cavalos. Like, what I'm saying, there's, like, not a lot wrong with this book. It's just this one big thing.
Mm-hmm.
That's, like, a nail. Like, it's just such a hard hit to him that it pushes it into bad book. The other issue we'll get to later is, I think, the sub-faction balance is terrible.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
That's a common problem, for sure.
Absolutely. But, like, that's something we can address here, too, I think.
Yep.
It's not like Korn, where it's like, we gotta throw this out, restart all over again.
Yeah, Korn really is kind of like that right now, aren't they? Yeah.
Once. Yeah, and Liege Cavalos can issue a command once per turn free. That's like your Stormcast guy that you really like, too. What's his name? Or Lord Impertinent? What a great rule, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And, like, that's a great reason to bring somebody like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then Catacross can just do it for free. That's why he's 500 points.
Yeah. So
and then we can, like, rewrite that war scroll. The idea was so cool, but playing with it is a nightmare of, like, okay, what did I lose? And then it just says the unit name, and then you have to go through the war scroll to figure out what the unit was and what he did.
Not sure I followed that. Say that again.
So go look up Catacross's war scroll, and you know how in the bracket.
Like, yeah.
It's like everybody else is like, oh, they go from 6 attacks to 4 attacks, and he's like, oh, these are the guys. Oh, it's even worse. It's listed. These are the guys that are alive.
It's very flavorful.
Yeah, it's so cool flavor-wise. Absolutely.
Yeah, and just it's like, oh, and this sucks to play with.
Yeah. And so, what I want to do here is the next section is consequences of this. And I think you've labeled a very good one right off away. And it's insanely powerful, of course.
Yeah.
You can save stack in multiple spots now.
Yes, exactly.
Alright, and then how do we fix that? Or like I guess we don't need to fix it necessarily, but how do we, like, acknowledge it? The only sub-faction you could take before gave your army basically -1 to enemy rend all over the place, right?
Yeah.
So maybe we don't have that sub-faction anymore and it balances out.
Yeah, I mean, I think you just need to redesign the sub-factions.
Yeah, well, we're going to get to redesigning sub-factions anyway, right?
Yeah, I think, yeah.
Yeah. Another consequence is, a ton of War Scrolls already have their own commands. Is that necessarily a problem?
That a ton of War Scrolls have their own commands?
Yeah.
I don't know. Is that a problem, or is that something we want to
look on a case-by-case basis?
Or almost even lean into? Like, that's, like, their thing. That they get the normal commands, but they also get a bunch of other ones. And, like, keep leaning into that a little bit, and that's, like, their shtick.
I like that. I kind of like it better if it was just, like, an allegiance ability, so it's not like, okay, which one can this one do? Okay, which one can this one do?
Oh, that's fine, too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, I even like that, because I think, like, the 3-move command is, like, really good for the army.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And, like, I don't think that should ever go, but they could just have their own commands in addition to the core rule ones.
Yeah.
And, like, you saw in the White Dwarf they made, they're like, oh, here are you have, like, your rally, but it's worse. Of, like, oh, if you don't move and you're not in combat, you can heal D3.
So here's a question. What if we did, instead of just letting them, use commands multiple times, what if they can use their own commands multiple times, and we just also give them access to the commands that everyone else has?
Okay, so like you can't all out defense in multiple spots, but
right. But any of their their special ones we're giving them, they could use those multiple times. So not only do they get a list of bonus ones, but then they could use those multiple times, and then that makes it easier to balance, especially as default things might change. You don't have to worry quite as much about looking at them every time, right? Like, because that has the same problem, right?
Yeah, that's a great point.
It actually has a very similar problem, now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, of that, if anytime they change all out defense, all out attack, any of those common ones, you gotta look, it's like, wait, can OBR abuse this? Because now they can do it multiple times.
Yeah, I like this. That's a great point, and it's pretty additive to mine. And it's toning it back. So we don't have a ton of consequences anymore.
Yeah.
I like that, okay. But these issues are still... Or you can issue the same... You could even call it Relentless Command.
Yeah, it's something perfect.
I like that, okay. And other than that, are there like a lot of consequences to this change anymore?
Well, you just need to be careful about what you give them. But other than that, so it's more of a we need to design carefully now, as opposed to
it's not a core problem of the rules themselves anymore.
Exactly.
Yep. And honestly, like that's a great that's great. I like that a lot. Okay.
Cool.
And I guess let's talk about like what relentless commands we would have now.
Yeah, so we'd obviously have plus movement.
Yeah.
Of some variety. Now, are we gonna run into the problem that too many things can move extra 3? But see, the interesting thing here is now we're actually limited to how many command points that you normally would get, right? As opposed to just having this huge chunk of points that seemingly you can do as much as you want with. So that's actually one consequence of this. Of changing it to being like this. So basically, one of the consequences is we have less points now than the old system did, right? Yeah. The old system just seemingly had infinite points that they could spend, right?
Yeah.
So now we're kind of limited to the default pool of points that we could normally spend.
Okay.
Maybe we want to give an extra point normally via some, via the various people like Catacross or whatever.
Yeah.
But so I'm thinking. So the thought train went like this. Now we have the issue again where just everyone can move an extra 3 inches, right?
Yeah.
But maybe that's not actually true because now we're much more limited in how many points we actually have. So it's not seemingly infinite amount of points to spend on whichever you want. It's really limited now because now you won't be able to use all out defense if you move everyone extra, right?
Yeah, which comes with its own drawbacks and benefits for sure.
But then again,
yeah, is that a problem?
Here's another question though. Well, okay, so with the move command, right?
Yeah.
So we're talking about giving 3 extra movement, but now we have access to the run command, to just the 6 run, which is the normal way to move extra faster.
You can't. They can't receive more than one command at the same turn.
No, I know. I know. I'm just wondering if that overlaps the design space a little much. If that makes sense.
So
like,
I see what you mean.
They do different things. Yeah, they're both movement related, and I know there are subtleties there, and like a reason you'd want to have both. But like, as far as design space goes, when someone's looking at it, it's like, ooh, what do I get? It's like, ooh, okay, I get something that's kind of similar to something I already had. And does that feel bad?
I think if all of them are that, like it is now, yes.
But maybe like 1 or 2 would be okay.
Yeah, I think the plus move one is like the exception to this, really.
Okay.
Because I think like what it's doing for you is drastically different.
Yeah, it's letting you move and charge, whereas you can't normally.
Exactly. So like it might like feel similar in a roles perspective, but I think in actual practice it's a very different tool.
Oh yeah, no. So for the record, I was totally agreeing with that, but it feels it. So is that a good design place to go? But yeah, I'm totally fine having that be an exception.
No, and like that's why we're doing this on the live stream instead of just ourselves too. Is to discuss the points that we feel out loud. And like you might have agreed with me, but you might have been leading me to that question too. Not to tell everyone how the sausage is made, right? But
yeah.
Yeah, I think there's actual extreme value in being like this is the one we get that's like that design space.
All right, so what's another one that we like? What's another idea?
So what they have for like their universal core ones now are they can fight in tandem with a command point.
Okay.
Which I don't like that one because then you can't do other combat phase commands with them.
Right.
So like you shut off your all-out attack or your additional rend. And like additional rend, it's like I don't think we should have that.
So now I will say that is an assumption that we're making.
Okay.
That because we're saying you can issue multiple of the same command, relentless command, right? Yeah. We can just say that you can also receive any number of relentless commands, and it doesn't stop you from receiving other commands. Or that every unit can receive 2 commands per phase instead of 1, or something like that, right? We can do things in different ways as well.
That's a great point. We're just assuming that it can't. You're right. Okay. You know what? Fair.
So,
all right, let's jump back then. Actually, do we want to change relentless commands to be stackable?
Well, I think what we need. I think the better way to do it would be to see if there's design space that we really like for it first, and then adjust it if we find we like.
Okay.
If we find content that we like for it, right?
I agree finding it first, but I think we're right on the doorstep of it right here.
All right, so which one?
Tandem command.
Okay, so do we want to be able to do that?
A lot of other armies have that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like not super unique, but it's like obviously good. So what's the pros and cons of having that? Right? It's like it makes you want to gauge your foot heroes more.
Yep. And it lets you. Do we want to? What if it was a fight in tandem and bodyguard, like rolled into one?
Okay. Oh, so like you issue the bodyguard too?
Yeah, it's like you're telling them fight with me and protect me, kind of like all in the same thing.
Okay, well, it's obviously a lot less good than bodyguard off the top of head, right? Because if you get charged first, you don't get the chance to do that. Unless you word it in such a way like at the beginning of the combat phase.
Yeah, I mean you could word it to be whenever. You could word it to be at any time during the combat phase you can issue this command.
Oh, when you're selecting to attack or the target of an attack.
Yeah.
That's a good way to fix that. Okay. And then you can wrap it up into one too.
So, yeah, and then it doesn't feel bad.
Yeah.
It's a little wordy at that point, but like it actually is. It's very easy in practice to know what's going on there.
Mm-hmm. What, like 4 up, 3 up bodyguard? Or it doesn't matter what number.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter what it is. Yeah,
and so. And then here's the question: here is like, if all of defense exists, would you ever do this over all out defense or all out attack? You would probably do this over all out attack sometimes.
Yeah,
but not a lot. I don't. So like, this is what I'm talking about. Where like, I think.
Is that enough power? I don't know.
Yeah, approaching that design space of maybe we wanna. I don't know, like split it over, and have like relentless discipline and command points like B. You can issue one of each to a unit.
So you know what I find interesting is that we just combine 2 decently powerful abilities into one, and we're still like, well, this might not be better than all out defense.
That's how good all defense is.
Yeah, it is, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Mm-hmm. Because I think a lot of times they want to just wipe out the unit. Instead of, like, the hero. I guess you could protect the hero that way. And then, like, that's better than all-out defense for the hero. I guess it depends on what they're going after.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I think it would depend on... So, do we have... So, who are the heroes in this army that we might want to defend?
Bone Shaper... because he brings back models.
Yep.
Soul Mason has a spell that rerolls ones.
So we also probably want to be someone that we actually want to attack with, right?
I guess, Leech
But doesn't have to be
right?
Yeah, I was going to say, Leech Cavalos is an option here.
Yeah.
We could extend it to... I mean, there's no reason we can't extend it to, like, unique units, too, right?
I don't see why we would, yeah. Or wouldn't, rather.
Yeah, so you could even, like... Yeah, you could bodyguard Archon, you could bodyguard, what's his face? Big dude.
Catacross?
Catacross. Yeah, there we go. There's the name.
Yeah. Okay. Issue with that, though, is, like, that's what the Immortus Guard does. But maybe they can just do something else.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Or maybe they can be better at it in some way.
Oh, so, like, this one's a... There are 2 up on their War Scroll. And,
yeah, maybe they're just really good targets for it, even. But we can let anyone do it.
Yeah.
Because then the target of the bodyguard, right, doesn't... So, currently, we haven't said that, you know, they can receive multiple commands. So, if this is good enough to be, like, the one and only, right? So, they can't get all at defense, so... The Immortus Guard would be a great target for simply having the 2 up save right on their War Scroll, so they don't need the extra in theory.
Yeah.
Obviously save stacking, but
okay, I'm actually going back. I don't think we should be able to issue one of each now, because I just thought about what happens if you do the 3-inch movement and the run. Like, you have your Mortek Guard going.
Whee!
Yeah, they're 4-inch base plus 3 plus 6, so 13.
Yep.
Okay, there's going to be problems with that.
Yeah, that would be way too fast.
Yeah.
Then they would be the fastest army.
Yeah, so, like, maybe... Yeah, fighting tandem bodyguard, that's good. Because if they're going after the hero, this is the best thing to do. And if you're confident that your hero and your unit can kill something, you probably don't want the all-out attack necessarily.
Yep.
Or actually, Soul Mason has a spell that's reroll ones to hit, which will obviously be changed to +1 to hit. So, maybe you use this instead of all-out attack because you don't need to, because your book has redundancies for that.
Yep.
So there's actually a lot of reasons. So, okay. You can reissue the same Relentless command. I like that. Okay, this is perfect. And I think the Immortus Guard, they could do what Praetors do, where, like, they bodyguard on a 2-up, but on a 5-up, they ignore it as well as bodyguarding it.
Oh, yeah. Yep, that'd be good.
Yeah, we'll get there when we go to units, necessarily.
Yeah.
Alright, fight tandem body... Yeah. That's only 2, but, like... That's 2... Like,
those
one of them has, like,
examples,
multi-uses, right?
Yeah.
And, like, that conveys tactically advanced to me pretty well, right?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
And we don't have to come up with all the options now. We can.
That's a good point. Yeah, so we don't have to just like muse on it.
Yeah, this is the general idea of what we're trying to get across.
Yeah, I think. How do I put this? I think 3 would be enough. Like, I don't think we want too many of these.
Yeah, sure.
2 might feel empty. I think 3 would feel full without adding like too much.
Yeah, I can see that.
And like we have a combat phase 1, a movement phase 1. I think it would be cool to have one like that's either good in like the battle shock phase or the hero phase. So I'm just gonna put that note there now.
Okay.
Like maybe cast, maybe model return. Something like that. Alright, I'm feeling really good about this, actually. I think that's cute. Okay. So, what's next here?
What's next? It feels like there should just be a laundry list of things, and we can just be like,
Yeah, do we keep... They have a rule where they just don't take morale?
Yeah.
We can get rid of that, I think. I think that was only there because they couldn't use Inspiring Presence.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with that being gone. Yeah.
Or is that something that's just, like, actually fine to keep? And, like, gives them a little something. I don't know.
I don't think it's, like, too good. Or, like, too powerful.
No, I don't think so either, which is...
Yeah, so which is, like, why you're probably saying that we don't really even need to cut it.
Yeah, it's like... And then the people that, really like running this army because they really just don't care about that phase of the game.
Yeah.
And they don't find that interesting, can just keep not finding it interesting.
Yeah, okay.
It's that phase of the game has never, like... It doesn't really feel fun for anybody, I feel like. If that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like a... It always feels like... So the attacker is never going to rely on... Can never rely on, morale to do something for them, right?
Yeah.
And then the general assumption is always that I'm not going to lose something.
Yeah.
And the times where I actually do lose something, it feels really bad.
Which honestly, like,
right?
Illustrates a point to me about, like, Nighthaunt, and they just say, like, you can't pass morale, or, like, Mega Gargants have that rule.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, if more and more of those things, they might have it as time goes on. But it's hilarious because, like, it doesn't feel bad when that's just written into the Allegiance ability. Because you're like, okay, I can't just Inspiring Presences, so that becomes, like, a real mechanic in this game right now.
Yeah.
And it gives you something that you can actually build towards.
Yeah.
So if the game comes to a point, it reminds me of the 5-up board to Mortal Wounds that Chaos Warriors have. Or actually, the whole Chaos book has.
Yeah.
Where, like, when AOS was, like, young, Mortal Wounds were very rare. And it was like, oh, this is kind of cute. And then the game became about Mortal Wounds. And now you're like, oh, this is actually, like...
That's actually really good.
A cornerstone ability of my army.
Yeah.
So... we do run the risk of, like, something like that happening. But it's also, like... Alright, this is a 3rd edition book. And as editions come, they'll get more books. Oh, Andrew, good point. What about something in the shooting phase? For, Relentless Command.
What are they... So they got catapults?
They got catapults, and maybe the archers. With Wave 2.
Mm. So... Is that too cute for them? Because they don't... It doesn't feel like... their thing. Or do we give them something that's like gives them a ranged attack almost?
Yeah, which is why I thought like a hero phase like casting thing would be good. Because it could just be like damage.
Oh, here's something.
Yep.
What about a hero phase one that's all about collecting the bone tithe and it gives them a resurrection mechanic?
Yeah, for... Oh, self-res?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that seems pretty deathy.
So, like, they're there to collect the bones, right?
Yeah.
So they collect the bones and kind of bring themselves back, put themselves back together in some way?
Yeah. That actually touches on another point, too. Like, do we want to include the bone tithe in their rules? Because that's what their whole lore is about, but it doesn't really, like...
Yeah, it literally exists nowhere. Yeah. Yes, we absolutely do. I think that was a huge failing of that book. It was such a cool thought, and then they did nothing. And it does nothing.
There's a lot of that, but yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Okay.
Because they don't have a lot of res mechanics right now, right? They have some heroes that can do it, but otherwise that's it.
Heroes can return models, that's it. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
what about something like if you suspend a command to resurrect so many wounds worth of models or something like that?
Yeah.
How many models is a command worth?
That's a great point. I would be fine with, like, the Bone Shaper thing just moving to this, to be honest.
What is the Bone Shaper?
At the beginning of your hero phase, return 3 wounds worth of models.
3? Okay.
Oh! No! Actually, no, they keep that. That actually reminds me of something. Something that this book has is, like, a bunch of 4 wound things, and absolutely no way to interact with them whatsoever. So you can spend an RDP to bring one of the 4 wound guys back.
Well, okay, so that's what I was going to ask was, is it is the number actually 4 so that you can bring back the 4 guys?
Okay.
And so you make that just an ability. It's like collect the bone tithe, and it allows you to bring up to 4 wounds worth of models back. And then that lets you bring back like a stalker and a mortis guard.
That's perfect.
Let's do that.
Ideal.
And then you could do it multiple times if you got all kinds of extra command points for some reason.
And then word it like eye for an eye, where it's you have to kill a unit in the previous phase, or something like that, or is it
could do something like that. If that makes it feel a little more finicky, and you definitely have to like keep track of that, in which I never really care for too much, considering there's already so much to keep track in this game.
Yeah,
it feels better bluff wise, but I don't know if it's better as a game mechanic that way.
It's definitely a worse game mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
I would say, because you're right, it's just bookkeeping for no reason. They could just have a return model thing. Yeah. I like the idea where it's like the Bone Shaper does it for free on little guys, but you have to spend points to do it on the bigger guys.
Yeah.
I think that's a perfect balance. Okay.
And I think a command point is like kind of reasonable for that. And if it's too much, right, that's where points come into play, or the power of the models, you know.
Well, it reminds me of like Rally, where it's like, oh, I'm gonna try to do it on my like bigger unit, and it's like useless or it's way too good. And you're like, okay, it's just consistently 1, but I'm not spiking and getting 3 of them back.
That is something I actually didn't consider, in that there already is a command for this.
Called Rally?
Yeah. And then we just kind of overlapped again a little bit there.
Yeah.
This one feels better. A lot better. Well, that's because it is a lot better, but...
Yeah. Oh, damn.
But would it just... Yeah. Because now all of a sudden they can do that where they never could before, right? So I didn't even consider that.
Yeah, but I don't know, like it feels different to me. Like
it feels way different to me too. Yeah.
Because like I think it's just like a fundamental design of the book. Of like Arc on the Black and your like best hero Bone Shaper does this, and it's just like a fundamental part of the identity of the army. Where there's like this weird overlap, and like, oh, you can't do it on your bigger units.
Yeah.
At all. And like I just want a way to do it with my bigger units, and it just seems like alright, we heard you loud and clear, here's your solution. You can do it, but it costs you something.
Right.
And like that's gonna have like rippling consequences too. It's not like you just get to bring back a guy. For the same reason using Rally would, right?
Right.
But yeah. But then you can do this and Rally too, so it's a little different. Oh, I want to word in here too, is like you can't hit the same unit with this and the Bone Shaper. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I think that's probably fine.
Because this will give you freedom from Bone Shaper. Bone Shaper still has a role where you get to like babysit your more
kind of get a little few extra. Yeah.
Yeah. And like this is for like
or
your
we
stalkers.
could just change the Bone Shaper's ability.
Yeah. Well, the Bone Shaper can heal too. So like, would we word it like the word Bone Shaper, or like this could be used as like a heroic recovery kind of thing?
Mm-hmm.
Or is that a little too much? You think now?
No, I think you'd have to play around with it. I think it depends on the balance on the other things.
Well. And if it hits a hero, also, it falls into the thing that we really like, where it's multifunctional, and it would be a different role than just rally too.
Yeah. I mean, that's fine. You think
it might be too good, but again, points. I feel like the book, like with these changes, will go way up in points. I think a lot of things are way cheap considering the fact that they can't all out defense.
And I feel like that's like a normal death thing to have weaker units that cost a lot of points but have their
model return be great.
Abilities be powerful. Yeah, exactly.
Or even like allegiance abilities in general, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a pretty classic thing for them, I think.
Yeah, like the power of the heroes is real.
Yeah.
Okay, those are the 3 commands I want, and I really like them now. Perfect. And like we can cut the morale thing or we cannot, it doesn't super matter. Yeah. So I'm not even gonna write it down. Okay. I want to talk about like relics and stuff real quick. Enhancements. Because there's like not a lot of lists that don't run Mighty Archaeosion and Godbone Armor because you're Petrifex Elite and you have to.
Yep. No, I mean I think that's the first thing that just goes, right? That's the classic 3rd edition thing to do, is to just get rid of that requirement so you can actually use your book.
Which, great. Perfect. 10 out of 10 design.
Yeah.
Actually, before we go there, there's one more thing I want to address here.
Okay.
It's like, and I've like played a lot against like a lot of people on Everwinter and other pros that aren't familiar with the army.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about like the book after playing it. It's like you talk about all the shit that you don't get to do in 3rd edition, and I play against this, and I see all the things that you have from 2nd edition that nobody else has, and I'm like, yeah, I'll gladly trade that, away.
Yep.
So, sweeping changes, I'll call this section. What should absolutely go is reroll saves.
Yes.
Absolutely gone.
Yep, goodbye.
Yeah, and I'm with you on this one. I take it because I don't have all-out defense. Granted, it's stronger, but like... like Mortek... This is what I'm talking about, like with Mortek Guard. Like, their command was to reroll saves. We could probably just cut that off the War Scroll entirely.
Yes, please do.
Yeah, and like, we don't need to replace it with something because they have all-out defense now.
Yep.
So, like, a lot of these things can just go. Necropolis Stalker is another great example of, in the hero phase, they can move over buildings as if they fly, and then reroll charges. You can just give them the rule that says they move over terrain as if they have fly. And then the reroll charge is a command point.
Yep.
So, like, a lot of these can just go. And we'll get into that normally, as we go through. A lot of things in this book have, like, a base 4-up save. And I think Mortek Guard should definitely stay there. Probably Liege Cavalos. I could make the argument for Necropolis Stalkers being a 3 instead of a 4, because they're supposed to be, like, the densest material on planet Earth. But that's minutia, yeah.
I feel like Necropolis Stalkers have an issue. And that is that they tried to give them 4 heads of different things.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure they succeeded in giving them 2 good heads and 2 heads that don't matter at all.
Alright, here's the like breakdown. You have a defensive head, an aggressive head. And an aggressive head if you happen to be fighting Nighthaunt.
Exactly. I think that's my point.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right, so basically, I feel like it should basically be condensed down into, like, let's make them all usable, and instead of, like, kind of overlappy like they are now. Like, I hate the overlap that they do with these things. Like, it's like, wait a second, you built 2 things, and one of them is 95% better. It's better 95% of the time. Why did you even bother doing this?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, we needed it because it made sense in the lore thing, and the book ships tomorrow.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. So.
And it's like, and this is safe. All right. Sounds good.
Yep. It's not game breaking.
Yeah.
You're right. It will never get used.
Yeah.
It's almost like they didn't want to write a rule, and then they were like, oh, we need to make it more complicated from like their boss who doesn't really understand the game. It's like, we need more things involved. And they just like put it there because they're like, no, we don't want to over design this. Here's the thing you'll never take.
Yeah. So, what if instead of, having them have the heads they have now, why don't we give them like a +1, leave them at a 4-up save, but give them a +1 save head that can represent that ability, and then a way to give them extra damage if they want. And then the point of the +1 save head is, basically we're saying that you are going to be wanting to use your command abilities on all of these other things that we're giving you. So it's a way to not have to use it on them, essentially, if you want to be defensive about it.
Thus making them more tactically advanced.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I want to put a pin in this and come back to it when we talk about Necropolis Stalkers.
Yep.
But I think that's great points. But reroll saves, saves twice apparently. Hits/wounds should always go. Bravery immune to morale thing. This one might pop up more as we go through the books and stuff, but that's just like to name some of the few like major ones, I would say. Of like grievances that people have with this, that I don't have it, why do you get to have it, right? And stuff that really shouldn't be in this game anymore. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh. I think, my personal opinion, I think I've kind of already said it, but I think morale just needs a rework as a mechanic. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Entirely. But that's okay.
We'll put a maybe there.
That's why I think it's like fine, because like honestly I don't mind just ignoring that game mechanic because I think it sucks.
Yeah. I think that's a fair point. And like this one I don't want to muse on like specifics too much.
Yeah.
But like I just want to say that I think there's some really cool command traits in here that never ever got used.
Oh sure, yeah. Like we can honestly just keep them wholesale. And because you can use them now, they're great.
Yeah, I brought the book here. Because I think it's important to have story time with Alex here. Talk about some of these that I think are actually like really good.
Excellent.
That you don't get to check. Yeah. So Dark Acolyte makes your Leech Cavalos a wizard. That's kind of cool.
That is cool. I like that.
Ancient no. 5-up board instead. Yeah, roll. You can steal command points on a 6, and then you can spend 1 health to reroll Cast, Dispelled, and Unbind on a wizard.
Spend a health to do that?
You can reroll Cast, Dispelling, and Unbinding rolls for this general. If you do so, the general suffers 1 mortal wound after the effects, if any, are carried out.
I like it. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like,
dude, they could have fixed so many of the 2nd edition books just by like removing just by saying you may take this.
Yeah,
artifact
exactly.
or command. Like, oh my god, can you imagine?
People are pretty. I noticed that. I think it's mostly gone now, but there's like an upset about like the sub factions only having the 1 passive and nothing else, because it removed character from the armies, and like I could not disagree more with that statement.
Yeah,
because like it just forced you to play your army in a very specific way if you took a sub faction.
Yeah, it was like too much.
And like,
it was like
I like how 40k does it, where you can. It's like, oh, you're Petrifex Elite, you're allowed to take Mighty Archaeosion instead of like you must, right?
Right. Yeah, I mean that would have you just like gain access to it in your armory type of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It's kind of like and it's not very different than say like you gain access to battle line. This thing is battle line if you're this, right?
Yeah.
It's a very similar thing. It's like it's giving you additional list building options by picking the sub-faction.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, so yeah. Reroll spell stuff. And, like, I don't know. Like, there could be definitely more here, but I think command traits are... Honestly, in the design sense, I think you should playtest the army and see what you feel like. Oh, this would be really good in this situation right now, right? So it's like, it's really hard to say. Unless you want, like, an absolute combat beef stick thing in, like, the command trait somewhere to go with your fight in tandem thing. And maybe we could even design around that.
I mean, I feel like the new season might get, your melee assassin heroes to be better.
Yeah.
Right? But, like, I feel like they need to do something in general to make them more viable on the norm as opposed to just, like, hey, here's a season for it.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm all about making those models better, because they're usually some of the coolest looking models, too, in my opinion.
And there's the ones that they like to sell you the most. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's, oh, and they're all garbage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Anything we can do to make them better, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's a command trait where he just gets to hero phase fight.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, just borrow it straight from the season incentive.
Yep.
I like it. But yeah, I don't think we need to dwell on these too much.
Sure.
But, like, I think overall, like we did in the Corn book, we're like, oh, something that interacts with new Relentless Discipline. It doesn't matter. It could be 100 things that are good, yep. But something that interacts with that space.
Yep.
With new RDP stuff. In whatever way. Maybe 2 of these. Yeah, etc.
Something off the top of your head for that.
Huh?
What's something off the top of your head for that?
They can issue 1 free without spending a point once per turn.
Yeah, only on the Relentless Discipline one. Yeah, easy.
Yeah.
And powerful.
Yeah, and it's like another free command point once per turn too.
Mm-hmm.
Alright, and I'll do a subtab here. Example. Issue a free RDP once per turn. And it's not like better than the Leech Cavalist, because he can do both RDP and base commands. Hypothetically, right?
Well, I think you might change that ability if we're giving this one.
If we're putting it here?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah.
Or maybe we change... I think we would... If we do this, we would... If there's already something that has that design space, I think I'd want it to be consistent, at least. So we'd probably change that one to the only RDP ones. Would be my thought.
Yeah. Because I still like this, because like I have a Leech Cavalist. My General's the Bone Shaper. They both have this ability. And you're talking earlier about, like, oh, maybe an issue of this book is, like, they lost a lot of the mobility that they used to have because you have a lot less of these points. Here's a solution to that.
Yep. Yeah. And it's like a way to, like, actually use the multiple concept of it, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Like giving them extra uses of just this.
Yep. And it's their own thing still. So we don't have that argument of like, oh, but they lost what's unique to them. That doesn't really hold any water anyway, but we've also addressed it. I like it. Cool. And artifact lists, I think, can largely stay the same. Because there's like a +2 to cast till you roll a 10. Until roll 10. There's a give a thing a 5-up board. Until end of turn. You give give another unit. Let me put that instead of a thing. Nine-inch bubble. +1 to wound. Oh. And then there's a 12-inch bubble. +1 to hit. And I'm going to put in parentheses, normalize distances. We don't need 2 different ones for no reason.
Yep.
But, like, that's a pretty solid list of things so far. Oh, there's one that, like, lets Bone Shaper double tap.
Giving the unit a 5-up ward will be really powerful with the bodyguard thing.
Except for you can't bodyguard and ward in most of the new bodyguard ways.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Never mind that.
Which, I mean, if it's like Fire Slayers for some reason and like current OBR, then you're correct. Because you can do that.
They just need to evergreen bodyguard.
Yeah, just make that a keyword like ward.
Yes, please.
You use it too much.
Yep.
And I know the dangers of keywording, and I know I played 7th edition. I saw the worst possible iteration of keyword hell.
Yep.
But
at the same time, they exist for a reason too.
Yeah.
For sure. To make rules consistent. See, what they did there is they made keywords for things that were only used once or twice ever.
Yep.
That is not when you do it.
Or a keyword that's like, you have these 2 keywords instead of writing the 2
keywords.
Oh
my god. Like Terminator armor? Oh my word. That was the worst.
Yep.
Dude, I knew that Terminators could deep strike, right? I knew that was the thing. And I could not figure out how they had that ability. And it took me forever. And then finally I was like, oh, their equipment is Terminator armor. Terminator armor gives these 2 abilities, one of which is deep strike. I'm like, holy shit, that's the dumbest thing.
Yep. It was, yeah. So, like, just be careful with it. But, like, I think it's absolutely tried and true enough to the point right now where it's like, okay, I can think of, like, 5 armies that have, like, a ward offhand right now.
Right.
At least, and I know there's, like, a ton more.
Yeah.
Hell, I think I played 5 armies that have wards. Yeah.
All right, so a little hobby progress. So, you want to see all the different conversions I made from Eternus?
Yep.
0. I just built him.
I had a feeling.
Yeah, you knew it was coming, right?
Well, I mean, you might have liked the different chess piece over. Because, like, the Chaos Lord had one. Yeah.
Like, it doesn't actually work. Like, none of the, like, the alternate stuff.
Oh, they're not interchangeable?
They're really not interchangeable, yeah.
Okay, I think that was a missed opportunity.
It's like, I mean, maybe they are slightly. Well, no, not really, no. Like, all the chess pieces are different and stuff. Like, there's, like, a few things I could have done, but then it would have looked out of place, I think.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. We just went with we went base standard here.
Yep. Excellent. Yeah. Perfect. Exus is cool, though. Or, Jesus, Eternus. Yes. I think he's cool. I think he does a lot of good stuff for that army. And they're missing, or they're not missing, but they really like command points, and he gives them more.
Mm-hmm.
And then like the self return is like, not for your opponent, but for you, one of the most fun things. And like it can score you some battle tactics and stuff. Fun. Anyway, off topic. Oh, go ahead. Actually.
Oh, I was just gonna say, and not to mention, like, even if I don't run him as the Eternus model, like, you know. It doesn't matter to me.
Yeah.
And if it matters to someone else, then they can go shove it.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't play like that.
I don't think it will to most.
I don't even think if I went to a tournament, someone would call me out on it.
No.
To be honest.
I don't think so. And they'll be like, okay, you built the cooler one, I see. Alright, that's fine.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, right. Yeah.
I'm almost certain.
Yeah. Anyway.
But yeah. Going on to spells. I think their spell lore is like really robust. And I think most of them are just fine as is. Except for like a couple. So, exploding 5s instead of 6s. That's fine.
Yep.
5-up ward to mortal wounds on units with shields. Can that just be a 5-up ward? I don't hate it.
Shields? Oh my word.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
Arrow. 5-up ward. That's it.
We did it.
I don't see why not.
Yeah.
And again, points. Or like make a casting value high. And you need to like lean into your units that get casting bonuses and command traits that get casting bonuses to get it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like, don't make it a reliable spell. Mm-hmm. And then it's a lot more to think about.
Yep. Let's see. Protection of Nagash. Do you remember that one?
Honestly, no.
This one's a wacky one. It has you give the caster a 5-up ward. The first time they fail a ward, they lose the 5-up ward and then teleport somewhere outside of 9 inches.
No, I do, because protection of Nagash, which benefited Nagash the most, I think.
So he could teleport, yeah.
Yeah.
I've done some dirty stuff with it on Archon the Black, though, where I just like used him to get a point. They go and charge him, and then he just teleports out of there.
He's just
Nothing
like,
personnel kid, yeah.
Yeah.
And I actually had one game where I was fighting ogres, and I had like 3 screens going where it was like him, the Immortus Guard, and then the Necropolis Stalkers that I wanted to get into the Stonehorn the next turn.
Mm-hmm.
And he saw the problem where if like he Mortal Wound charged Archon, he would just run away. No, and you wouldn't kill him with that, so I just completely wasted that. So he's like, okay, I'm going to shoot at Archon and just take the wound out and get him out of the way. And to which the Immortus Guard bodyguarded it away.
Oh, no.
Yep. So there's, like, powerful stuff there. It's wordy and it's confusing and it's kind of abusable. I don't know if, like, they really need this. Like, it's fun, but, like, that's such a gotcha thing.
Yeah, I agree. So how can we make it so that it still accomplishes, like, the main idea of what it was supposed to do and doesn't have, like, a million gotchas with it?
Yeah. And, like, the thing is, it's like, that's only something that Archon will be able to do with that spell. But, like, I like the idea of a hero teleport.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. It does make them quicker, so that's, like, something to be aware of.
Yeah. I think what would be cool is, like, if it's a spell. You know how, like, Manfred can just piece out of combat?
What about a teleport only for wizards?
Yeah, well, it is a wizard-only thing. Because it's on the caster.
Oh, it's only for the caster. I see.
Yeah.
I see. Okay, that's my bad. I thought you could cast it on someone else.
No, that's fair. Like, I think it's fine, like, only the wizards get to do that. But I kind of like it, it's like, at the beginning of combat, just pop out. And, like, it's kind of weird that it's a spell that gives that, so maybe not. Does this even need to be here? Might change, I think.
Okay, the interesting thing is it's okay. Why don't we key off the name instead? Protection of Nagash, because it kind of does that a little bit.
You can definitely use it to do that to great results, but it's really like a scoring tool, right?
Yeah, it doesn't really do what it's set out to do.
Yeah, I just like that it's a get out of dodge, see you later button.
Yeah, but the problem is it's like abusable for so many other things. Because like, that's the thing, right? It's like its abilities get abused when they can be used for like a common way to abuse ability is when it can be used for 2 things instead of just 1, right? Like you can you get 2 effects out of it when you're only intended to get 1. And the teleport in this case was always intended to be like, oh hey, I'm getting out of dodge after I, lost my ward. Which makes sense. But instead, it's like, hey, please hit me so I can go over there and steal this point from you as well, right? So how do you remove the abusable bit of it that's not as intuitive to somebody, and like it doesn't feel as intended? I mean, it's fun sometimes to have those things because it can make a player feel really smart, but at the same time, it can make the other player feel like, well, wait a second, I don't know your army well enough to like, there's like some armies that play like straightforward and you know what they're going to do, it's just powerful, right? And then the armies that, to me, that feel the worst to play against are the armies that are like, I know you have some trick and it's annoying me that you have this trick and I can't figure out what you're going to do, but I'm sure you have something, right?
Yeah. So there's a happy medium there is what you're getting at for sure.
Right.
I'm
like,
redoing this.
I think it just needs to be like a more straightforward ability.
Yeah, and one thing, my immediate thought while you're going through that was, what if we just changed it to like have a 5-up, or if they take a damage in the shooting or combat phase. So like you're not doing the thing that Nagash was doing, where he could hit himself with the flaming head and then teleport and then move after. and then charge with like 3 inches with a bunch of arcane bolts, you know? So that was the real problem with that, right?
Right, yeah.
So like if you just change it so you couldn't like do it in the hero phase. Like it's just shooting her. I mean that would be a step to getting rid of that, but
what about
do everything, right?
Here's a random idea. What about prevent the first 3 damage that would be dealt to this hero?
Oh, like the Skaven thing. Yeah, I like it.
I didn't know the Skaven had that. Alright, cool.
They have a Warp Lightning Shield that like they prevent the first 3 damage, but once they take the 4th damage, they take D6 damage. We could just skip the second part.
Yeah, we absolutely could skip the second part. Yeah, agree.
Yeah, I like that actually. That's fair. Because it's not like an abusing movement tech thing.
Right.
Which was cool, but...
And if it's only on self, right, it's kind of like for protecting a wizard.
Yeah. I wonder if like you could keep the after the shield breaks, then you move kind of thing.
Yeah, what if you made it a move instead of a teleport?
Oh.
And you could make it a move of like you can make it a relatively short move.
You can make it its move characteristic. Like, so yeah, just do a move.
You could either make it if you do it your move characteristic, then like Archon can move kind of far. It can reposition pretty good.
Yeah.
You could also just do like a flat like 3 or 6 inches. 3 inches, gets you out of combat with people. 6 inches is like a little more reliable at doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously you could do move characteristic.
Yeah.
But that does bias it towards being much better on certain units than others.
If it's on their move characteristic.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's necessarily bad. What do you think? Is it?
Oh, if it's better for some than others?
Yeah.
Well, my problem with that is like I don't know. It's just like
build, I guess.
Yeah, it's like why wouldn't I use it? I mean, on Archon, I guess. I mean, there's other reasons why you might not take him, right? But like, I don't know. Maybe that's fine.
I'm just gonna put move however inches or X inches.
I think there's a reason to do it both ways.
Yeah, and like it doesn't matter right now, but
right. Yeah.
Yeah, just like
so we could
teleport anywhere. Yeah, I like it. Another spell they have is Arcane Command, which is D3 Relentless Discipline points. But we could just change it to +1 command point.
We could. That's true. That'd be very simple.
Very simple.
That can only be spent on relentless commands.
Do you think that's just too wordy for not too much gain, or?
I think we have that in other places, though, right? That we've been, and that way we're not affecting the overall like. We're more contained within our book.
Yeah,
is I think the idea there, right?
Yeah. And restless command, relentless. Okay. There's a couple more spells. One of them is like you mark a unit to be like under contract, and every time they fight on a 3-up, they take D3 mortal wounds. Like we don't need that. Absolutely not, right?
Every time they fight, they roll a die, and on a 3-up, they take D3 mortal wounds.
Yep. And it lasts for the rest of the game. Or until you pick another thing to curse.
I mean, it doesn't do enough, right?
Well, it's just... I don't like it for a lot of reasons, because like it doesn't do enough. And it's just like... wordy and silly, you know?
Yeah.
And if that's one of those things where like, if it did do enough, it would be fucking annoying. Right?
What about... what about something like... Well, alright. I kind of like the design space of like putting something on a unit and then lasting the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Like, what could we do? Like, I'm thinking of like something... What's something that's very like deathy? And my first thought was like something like like my head, it was like pull them under type of thing. But it's like, but for some reason my head, and this doesn't make sense, but that's okay. Like every time they move, they take a damage, which is related to them like walking over a bunch of skeletons that are like, clawing at their feet or something the whole time. And that would
have pile-in moves and stuff too.
I knew we could make it do that or not, either way.
I like that it would, though, because it's still like a defensivization to attack with this unit. Or to like do things with this unit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like that a little bit better than what I was going to say. And I'm just going to say it anyway, and we can talk about it. Is they pick movement, shooting, casting, or fighting. And they're not allowed to do one of them.
Okay. For like the next turn, you were thinking?
Exactly. And it's like, no, you don't get to pick it, they get to pick it. So it's like, I target your unit, and you have to give up one of your phases.
I mean, I think in that case, like, it's like, oh. Well, okay. If you were going to do it that way, you'd have to, like, probably... It has to be something that they could do, right? Because otherwise you're just like, oh, you target my melee unit? Great, I won't shoot this turn. Look, I did it.
Or I won't cast, because I'm a unit,
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, fair, yeah.
But I do kind of like that idea. It's interesting.
Yeah. Or it might be even just movement or fighting. And just those two. You can't move or fight, you can't do both.
Can't do both.
But then, like, if you put it on a shooting unit, they're like, okay.
Well, I mean, you just don't target a shooting unit at that point.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it's not the intent.
And it's supposed to be like a slow thing anyway. Yeah. Pick a unit. Owner chooses to forfeit. Fight or move. Okay. It's kind of interesting, right?
Yeah.
Actually, unless they're like already in combat and you can't like shut off. I guess it just shuts off charging.
So they either can't normal move or they can't charge?
Well, no, because like if it's their turn. No, okay, hold on. Yeah, it's getting weird here.
Yeah, this might actually not do.
I'm gonna get rid of this. I don't like it anymore.
All right, let's grab it.
Yeah, 1 mortal wound on any kind of move. Easy. I liked your idea a lot better.
Cool.
Yep.
Now, are you forced to do a pile-in move?
Yes.
Okay, so like if you're in combat, you are taking a damage.
Yep.
I don't care for that, to be honest.
Oh, I
think I'd rather than. Okay. I was thinking. Well, it feels like a gotcha, right? Like that feels like an unintuitive rule.
Yeah.
That's my problem with it. Like, because it'd be like if I read that, I'd be like, okay, then I won't move, right? I just won't. And then you get up the rules lawyer, like, oh, actually, you have to move, and even if you choose to not move, it counts as a move, so you still take damage. And I'm gonna be like, what the fuck? That doesn't make any sense. Why would that be a thing? Right? Like, I can hear myself saying that, like, if I don't know that rule.
Yeah. I actually why don't we just get rid of it, honestly?
Burn it.
Yeah,
burn down.
We don't need all 6 spells. Not every.
Yeah, we don't need. We also, anyway. Even if we wanted to have 6 spells in the book, we don't need to come up with them all now.
Yeah, and the last
we're not going to make it through this whole book.
Yeah, you're right. We're kind of mising way too much on this.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, and the one last spell I do know I want to do is something like the Relentless Discipline, where it's just return a stalker.
Basically. Oh man, so you can kind of like double down on that. You could triple down on it. You could bring back a whole bevy of stalkers. Shit.
I guess because that was the only way to do that right now is like the Relentless command, and I didn't even think to put it there. But like I came into the show thinking about like what I would do with the spells.
Oh, okay.
And like that was my first thought. So maybe it doesn't need to be in both spots. Like
it was just something that you had come into the show thinking like, oh, I want to do that.
Exactly. Yeah.
And now we already kind of inserted it just in a different way.
Yeah. And like maybe it's okay to do it both ways. And, like, you get 2 a turn if you build for it. Because there's, like, list constraints there, too.
Well, the thing is, we were saying that the Relentless Disciplines are the ones that you can use multiple times, so you can already spend multiple command points, right?
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So we can already bring back multiple. And so then it's kind of like an odd third way to bring one back, too.
So we probably don't need
Which
it
is
here
fine,
also. Yeah.
But it is a little bit of an overlap.
I'll put it in maybe in parentheses and we'll move on.
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah. And then the sub-factions. Easily the worst balanced sub-factions I've ever seen.
If you took this one required sub-faction, you did great. If you didn't, you're not doing great.
Yeah.
Okay.
And like
very interesting start to this book.
Yeah.
People might not even know the history of it.
Of Petrifex?
Yeah. Like if they're just starting the game.
Yeah, of how it was like the best sub-faction like ever, and like there's like a 20% army showing specifically Petrifex Elite, and then they like nerfed it.
Yep.
And then the book went from like A S tier to like D tier overnight.
Which is pretty bad, considering none of the other sub-factions changed at all.
Yeah.
But basically, Petrifex Elite used to just be +1 save. For anyone who doesn't know out there. Just straight +1 save.
And then it got changed to reroll ones to save.
Yep.
In melee only.
Yep.
And then it got changed to be like what it is now, which is reduce enemy rend by 1 in both phases.
Mm-hmm.
So that was weird.
Yeah, they went through a lot of iterations.
Yep. Yeah, so yeah, okay. I don't know if we need to really muse on what every sub-faction needs to do.
Let's come up with a couple.
Yeah.
Right?
So, like, Petrifex Elite, I'm just going to write them down here. Elite, Ivory Host, that's the terrible one. Staliarch Lords. Null Myriad, my favorite Lord one. And Prematorians. They explode.
Prematorians are my favorite design space.
Yeah. I'm just gonna say, change their way to the Stormcast Eternal way. So instead of rolling a dice for each model slain on a 6-up do mortal wound, roll it based on the wound characteristic. I think, and then that's fine, sub-faction.
Sure. Oh, no, the other one I really like that's just, like, really stupid right now. Which one is it? The Ivory Host? Yeah.
The one that's like, when you have damage, you get -1 save.
Yeah.
That's why I said the bad one. Yep.
Oh, the bad one.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The really bad one.
And honestly, Staliarch Lords being, like... So, like, what they do right now is everybody can, like, run in charge. And then there's a command to make Cavalry be able to retreat in charge. Yeah, and I think you could just make Staliarch Lords Cavalry can run/retreat and charge. Done. Very powerful.
Now we just need to make Cavalos Death Riders worth the ring, and we're good.
Yep.
Just need to give them that Chaos Knight treatment, right?
Yeah. Make them a Chaos Knight. That's a great way. That's a great start.
Yeah, just straight up do that.
Yep.
Done.
Easy.
Easy.
Yeah, but, like, I don't mind having, like, a cavalry-focused one with, like, speed as its main thing.
No, not at all.
And, like,
I like it even. I mean, that's basically what, I can't even remember the name of it now. It's been so long.
Knights of the Empty Throne?
Yeah, it's basically what they are now.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm fine giving that to more people.
Yeah,
I don't think there's any problem with, like, overlapping design space with, like, sub-factions and stuff.
Not at all, yeah.
Yeah.
Null Myriad's gonna be 5-up Spell Ignore. And 5-up Ward to Mortal Wounds.
Oh, there we go. I like that a lot.
So it's not like, oh, I spent a point to make it a 2-up. But it's like, you get some spell resistance, and then you have something that's good against everything.
Yep.
Or a lot of things, rather.
It is still a little bit, like, it could do nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I don't mind making it a 4-up to Spell Ignore, then.
What if you just made it a 5-up
Ward?
5-up ward. Is that too good?
No.
Because they have a 6-up ward, right? Like, I assumed we were keeping that, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. Thing.
Right.
Everybody in Death but Nagash has that, Bill.
So bizarre.
Yep. I still hate it.
Yeah. So, is it too powerful to just, or does it nullify, too much of the other things we did?
That's what I'm worried about. Is like,
yeah,
we'll just make this the new must-take faction.
Yeah. So it's too good. Then that's fine.
Yeah, I think it's too good in an internal balance sense, but I don't think in the world that is too good.
Sure. Yeah. It's just we won't be able to get. It'll just be too obvious of a pick.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about. Yeah.
Yep. That makes sense.
So I don't even mind changing these to like 4-ups too, because like whatever spell, like, yeah. So I don't know. Just like that design space is fine though. Don't you? Yeah.
No, I think it's fine. It's a little dependent on the meta.
Yeah, right? Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, Ivory hosts. How do you want to change that?
Okay, so the core idea of it, right, is some kind of like they're more of an offensive weapon.
Yeah.
And they really suck at it.
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of want to make it like, what about when they're chosen to fight, they can take a mortal wound to give themselves all-out attack.
You know what I was thinking? Like, to make it, like, really spicy.
Mm-hmm. I like spicy.
Yeah, when they're selected to attack, you can give them +1 attack. However, they do not receive... I'm just thinking something like the drawback is they can't receive all-out defense, or maybe commands in general. And they have, like, a +1 to attack bonus. Or, like, something along those lines.
Sure would be spicy.
+1 damage. Well, we don't want that. Yeah.
No, stay away.
Yeah, I just got all the flashbacks of last season, and it hurt. And I don't want anywhere near that. No, thank you. You know what I mean, though? Like, just some, like...
Yeah.
Because, like, the idea is, like, they're in Gur, and they just, like, lost their technical sense for being made out of monster bones. So I like playing around with, like, the RDP. And, like, a denial of your own resource in that way. I don't think -1 to save is the way to show that you lost your tactical sense.
No, I agree.
You know what I mean?
It actually is kind of like, I don't know.
Is that good enough to just say some damage buff at cost of using commands? And that could be 100 things, right? And that's something you're going to massage with the numbers anyway after playtesting for a while.
So the only thing to me on that is it kind of goes counter to what the
whole army does.
Yeah. And so, like, do you really like the anti-synergy? You'd have to have a pretty powerful ability, but then to like make the anti-synergy worth it. But then you're getting into the realm of like you could tip the scales too hard, way too fast, and then it's like, and then you're just playing with that instead of playing with what the army's supposed to do.
Okay, that's a great point. And like we could even break it down to the core of like damage buff for bad.
Yes. Yes.
And like that's ultimately what we want the Ivory host to be. That's just not -1 save and better than +1.
Yeah, it's not -1 save. -1 save just feels way too bad.
Yeah.
Ooh. Here's something. You could leave it as -1 save, but have it be something like you give the unit +1 attack for -1 save, but you get to choose it to have them do it when they're selected to fight.
Okay.
And so that way you could play the game of I'll let them take damage first. You could either let them take damage first, right, and then hit, with a bonus, or you can risk attacking them first to do more damage, but then you're going to take more on the clapback. And so it's like a trade-off.
Yeah.
So instead of them just, like, just getting walloped, you get the choice of whether or not they get walloped. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think -1 save is still, like, too much of a... I'm never going to do this.
Well, the idea is, like, if someone already attacked them fully...
Yeah.
Right? Then they don't... Then there's no penalty.
Yeah.
Right? And then it gives, like, players that want to, like, take a risk a way to do that.
Yeah. So,
I don't know.
I think I
Maybe
see what you mean, though. It's like, -1 to save. And you're like, oh, okay, he's definitely safe. Okay.
Yeah, it's like, I can do it on him. That's no problem.
Yeah. And then there's like I really need to move this or I'm losing the game. I can tap into this.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, I'm going to take more back, but, like, I need to move this thing right now. I need to get a little lucky. And that's fine. I'll go for it.
Yeah. Or, like, this is an expendable unit. I need to do as much damage with it as I can.
Yep. Yeah, you can just throw it into something and just be like, all right, I'm just going to hit you for a bunch. And you don't hit me back, but I took out something important.
And I like that it's not like a command point, too. Kind of reminds me of Knight Excelsior, right, but instead of a benefit. It's an opportunity cost instead of a... What is it? Like an incentive to fight a specific kind of unit.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm fine with that.
I don't know. It kind of keeps like what they already have, but like makes it somewhat usable.
Yeah. I've been thinking about this one for a long time for a Petrifex Elite.
What do they do?
They're the -1 to enemy rend thing.
Oh no, I know what. Okay, I'm sorry.
I see what you mean.
You said you've been thinking about it for a long time, so I was like, all right, what are you having them do?
I just know sometimes you don't remember names. So I didn't know.
Oh no, that's fine. I remember that one. That one has scars in my memory.
Prevent the first damage taken each phase on each. So each unit prevents the first damage taken each phase.
Now, does it have to get? Okay, so all the way through saves, right? They fail a save, they don't take the damage.
Fail the save, fail the ward, don't take the damage.
Oh my god.
What was that?
But yeah, that's... I don't know, it seems good.
It does seem... Yeah, because, like, I think what it is, it's like... It seems like way too... Like, this is the one that you should take. Almost to the point where, like, that should just be a core army rule. But if they're getting all-out defense again, it's just so much of an overlap that, like, we don't really need that as, like, a core rule, right?
Sure.
So, I just want, like, a defensive thing that's, like, it's going to be appealing to some people. Or, like, some metas. And, like, Death Armies are traditionally, like, weak to tornado spells. And if, like, this is your solution to a tornado spell.
Yeah, that's
kind
very
of
true.
meta. Yeah.
Yep.
So it's, like, it's usable. But, like, I don't want to, like, do the thing that GW does. Where, like, they overcorrect it.
Yeah.
So what GW would do here is like, oh, this is obviously the best one. They take half as much casualties when they run for morale.
Yeah. It's like, oh, great. Yeah, that'd be exceptionally funny if they printed that one, because it's like they don't take morale tests at all.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, well, if you find a way, to have them run for morale accidentally, because some other book said that they, have to do it, you don't run as much.
Yeah.
Like, okay, great. I feel like they do that a lot, though. Like, they're like, well, this is a situation that's never going to happen, and they tote it, and it's like, oh, look at how cool this is. It's like, no, that's awful.
Like, if you win the priority, or if you tie the priority roll and a 3-up, you heal this unit D3 wounds.
Yeah.
That's a rule that actually exists in this game.
I know it is. Oh, I know it is.
Yeah. Okay, so...
No, I like it. I think that's good.
And then the last one, actually, I said we don't need to do all these, but we're gonna, because it's almost done. But Mortis Praetorian is like the poster boy faction.
Yep.
And our whole thing is like we wanted to poster boy these command abilities and Relentless Discipline and the ability to use that kind of stuff and specialize into that. So they do something based with more CP or extra RDP, or Relentless Command. Or whatever, right?
What could they do? I mean, the easy one, right?
Issue
Super
another one
easy.
free. Yeah.
Literally just get another one free.
Yeah.
But we could be getting to the point where we're giving a lot of freebies. But then again, like, is that okay as long as we bounce around it a little bit?
Beginning of each battle round, get an extra command point.
Straight up an extra command point every battle round?
Yeah.
Sounds pretty good.
But, like, I don't know. If we're looking at these, do any of them seem auto-take to you compared to each other? Like, the Screamatoriums seem way weak compared to a lot of the other ones here.
Yeah.
Is what I'm getting at. It's like, we're like, oh, the internal balance is wrong. Let's take a look at the internal balance right now.
Yeah.
Null Myriad's niche, but it's powerful in the niche that it's good.
Yep.
Honestly, Petrifex Elite and Mortis Praetorian seem like the best ones to me.
Yeah. Those are the ones I'll take the most.
Unless, like, we have Chaos Knights, and then, Stali Lords probably becomes the best.
Ivory Host with +1 to hit, +1 to wound probably isn't enough for me to really want to take it.
Yeah.
Maybe it is. That's pretty good.
I think it's good.
And if you can, like, manage it, it's all about managing it, right?
Yeah. Like, that's just, like, a lot of free damage. And it comes down, ultimately, that you're saving command points, because you don't need a all-out attack anymore.
Right.
So it does kind of play into the... I like it as, like, a design space.
Yeah.
And maybe we need to massage what the damage buff is.
Yeah. Or maybe we need to give it, like, a really good target. The other thing we could do is give it a really good target, like, in the book.
Yeah.
Right? Like, make a unit that's really good at getting that buff.
How would we separate that, though?
So we could do, like, if it's +1 attack, you could have something that has a low number of attacks, but a good one.
Yeah.
And then, like, a +1 attack on that would be, like, doubling their damage. Right?
Okay.
So something like that.
I like +1. Yeah, okay, so something more, like, deliberately playable.
Yeah.
Yeah. My thought, too, is, like, what if it was, like, a lot of rend? Like, 2 rend.
It does make them a little niche.
Yeah.
But just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, no, I mean, that would work, too.
I do
How do you...
+1 attack, because I think you're right. Like, a Mortis Guard are, like, low attack profile. And then, instead of giving them more attacks, you could just give them more damage.
Right. And then they become, like, a really good target for it, too, even.
Exactly, yeah, you can
because, like,
it.
Yeah. Even the base guys, I can't remember the name right now. It's eluding me.
Mortec Guard?
Mortec Guard. Like, they only have 2 attacks, right?
Yeah.
Like, +1 attack on that is probably pretty good.
Yeah, that's probably good, too.
And if you can manage... And, like, they can become, like, a lot more of a beat stick.
Yeah.
And if you can manage the -1 save. And that's the trick, then, is managing that.
Yeah. Or there's situations, too, where they might just have enough run to go through your save anyway.
Right, yeah, and you just don't care, right? You're just like, alright, yeah, I'm just gonna hit you as hard as I can, because I know I'm gonna die back.
Yep.
That's actually another good point, yeah, like, that's another way to manage it, is like, you know you're gonna die, so you just do it and you hit them.
Yeah.
Right? And you just hit them for extra, and that's something that they have to pay attention to, the fact that you can do that.
Yep. Okay, I'm liking that, actually.
Yeah, that one actually could be really fun.
And, like, they don't need to all be, like, completely equal, because they never are, because you never can, I don't think.
Oh, no.
But, like...
There's literally no way to do that. There's gonna be one that's the tournament list, but, like, as long as you make, like, different options...
let's put it this way. Do all of them offer a rewarding experience?
Right,
in a not competitive sense, right?
Yeah, yep.
And I think Mortis Praetorian, I think a lot of people are going to be really drawn to the extra command point for a lot of different reasons.
Yeah, it's also an easy one to take, right?
Yeah, it's a good all-around.
Which I think is fine. Yeah.
For the poster child, too. And it plays into what the army's identity is.
Yep.
So perfect. For each damage taken in each phase, if you're in a pure melee meta, this is probably terrible. But if you're in, like, fighting Lumineth, you deny spell phase, you deny shooting, you deny damage, or any combined arm lists. Actually, you get a lot more value out of this. So this is like a silver bullet pick, in addition to being just like baseline cute.
Yep, like you're gonna get something out of it either way, so it's not gonna feel super bad.
Yeah,
it's not like a total miss against anybody.
Yeah, it's
and
not
then,
a total
like,
miss.
It's really good against.
Yeah, exactly. And like this turns like some of the nightmare matchups into like okay, cool.
Yep.
Ivory hosts great. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say it makes things more manageable.
Yeah.
And yep.
Staliarch Lords, it benefits a very specific kind of unit that we just need to make sure it gets good.
Yep, and then that's like a list that you can run, and there's a reason to run that list.
And also like it affects things like Archon, it affects things like the Leech Cavalos, and it has scalability if we ever do like, let's say a hypothetical OCR Bone Reaper Lord riding a Cerberus. He's a lot better when you can run in charge, right?
Yep. Oh,
so it's like it's a build for rather than just like an all rounder.
Yep.
Which is good. Null Myriad is that's the only one I'm like iffy on.
Yeah.
And I think 5 upward's still too good. But like, it's a meta thing. Oh man. Oh, I have an idea. Warp Spell Ignore +1 to cast.
Warp Spell Ignore +1 to get. Ooh, there you go. Yeah. All right. That way, it's like you can build into it too.
Yeah. Right? Exactly.
Yeah. That's much better.
It's a meta call, and they're supposed to be the most magically attuned sub-faction.
Now, here's an interesting question. Do you nerf Archon a little bit and not give him the +1 to cast, and then have him only get it in this sub-faction?
I want to talk a lot about him, but like that's a good idea too.
Yeah.
Because like honestly, as much as I love having like mega casters, and I don't think they're that like I think having less of it in the game makes the casting stuff feel a little bit more like. Because I think a big problem with Magic is like you have it or you don't, and like some armies are just like so good at it, and they just like completely shut you out.
Yeah.
And then you also have the one command that makes your spells uncounterable. Or not the command, but the heroic action, rather.
Yeah.
And, like, maybe Archon doesn't need to be a 3-cast wizard. And he can keep his bonuses or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
And, like, I don't mind him being a wizard, too, because he doesn't really do anything else.
Oh, correct.
Which is, honestly, whatever. Yeah. So I think that's, like, a thing that we could dial, but we don't really need to decide if we do dial, right?
Right, yeah.
Necessarily.
It's something to think about.
But yeah, I think these sub-factions are cool now.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I don't think they're equal, but I don't think you can, but I think they're all rewarding in their own way. Which is good enough. Alright, we have like 5 minutes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so that feels like a perfect spot. Like we kind of got through the allegiance abilities for the most part. And like we can call that like step 1. Or like part 1, and then we can come back to this next time or something.
Yeah, I don't even mind just. I don't want to like do too many shows about this and dwell on it.
Oh,
but like I think what I want to do right now is just like rapid fire some quick succession changes I want to do. So some of the units.
Go for it. Yep.
I don't even need to write them down. Mortec guard obviously reroll saves. 4-up save.
Yeah, I think. You mean?
What did I say?
Oh, I thought you were saying that the reroll saves got to go.
Yeah.
I thought that's where that was going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Get it out of here. Yep. And I don't think they really need anything else to compensate, and they could probably stand to drop a few points to make up for that.
Yep.
I think we talked about this already, but a Mortis Guard, if we're giving Bodyguard into the Allegiance thing, we just make it so their Bodyguard also has a chance to ignore the wound for themselves too.
Yep.
And make it into 1 dice roll, and also just give them 1 more attack. 3 attacks, fine. I don't see why.
Sure.
Necropolis Stalkers, their command ability, just make it a passive on their scroll. And I like the idea of, like, at the beginning of the game, you pick a stance, and it will be, like, reroll saves, or not reroll saves, +1 to save, and then you can have the +1 damage one, just make a baseline Rend 2, instead of Rend 1. So that it's not, like, I'm stacked. Because one thing I noticed when I was going at the tournament, I had to explain to people how I got Rend 3, and how to explain that it was from 3 different sources. And I don't think that's good for the game. So just like, they always have this Rend. More save, more damage, more speed. And then the last one, I don't know, but like something like that. And
You're
then
saying pick it at the beginning of the game and you can't change it type of thing?
pick it at the beginning of the game, RDP to change it.
Oh, yeah, perfect.
Yep. Perfect. And like, so that way you're not like, oh, I only get the save bonus in combat, right? If you want the save bonus, you just have it, and then you can tilt.
Yep.
Or maybe the last one could be a spell ignore thing, or like a mortal wound save thing.
I would actually really like it also if it was you have to change it at the beginning of the combat phase, or in your own hero phase, one of the two, so that
I would say the hero phase.
Yeah, I think that's the right spot for it, so that your opponent can know what's coming ahead of time, right, and not have to like think through all the options.
Yeah,
they know what they know. You have to think about what you want to do, and then they can know what's going on and not have to think through as many options.
Yeah, this army's identity is planning. Yeah, put it in the hero phase.
Yep.
Because like another reason why I don't like it in the combat phase is you go in their turn, they're like, all right, I'm gonna attack with this. You're like, hold on, wait, I have to do my pre-combat actions.
Yeah.
And I got to think about them because it's a hard choice.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, put it hero phase.
Yep. And then if you forget, well, sorry.
No problem.
Oh no, I was saying, and then if you forget to do the thing in your hero phase, right?
You're stuck with the save, yeah.
Yeah, it's like, yep, like you just got what you previously had.
And I think Leech Cavalos, we hit the nail on the head earlier. Just make them Chaos Warriors or Chaos Knights. Not exactly, but like.
Yeah, the general idea
is that thing that you did with them. Yep.
Yeah. Yep.
Catapult, more attacks, less damage. I think make it a little bit more consistent.
Yeah, that's fine.
Catacrow, simplify it in whatever way. You can keep the same buffs, which just make it easier to read.
Yes.
Gothisar Harvester is probably fine. A lot of these numbers are probably going to be massaged.
Oh yeah.
I guess two really important ones I want to touch on. Bone Mason has a spell that gives 1 unit reroll hits. At the end of the hero phase, you can roll a dice on a 1-0, on a 2-5, D3 extra casts, on a 6, on a 6 D3 extra cast, and on a 2-5, 1 extra cast. Here's what I propose. Change Soul Guide to be, when cast, roll a D3. D3 units get +1 to hit. Done.
Perfect.
Yep.
Done.
And then Archon the Black. Like, we talked about making him a little bit of worse caster, because you want to make him tilt to Null Myriad, which in the lore is his sub-faction, too.
Exactly.
Which is kind of cool. One thing I want to discuss here, too, is, like, I think that's fine. Well, how do you feel about Curse of Years being as it is?
Oh, that thing.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem is it's like it makes a story when it happens, right?
Yeah.
So like it's cool. Right. And like you talk about the times where it happened, which is like kind of what you want, but at the same time like
you can't count on it.
Yeah, you can't count on it. So like the number of times where it fails you and you just don't, I don't know. I don't particularly like the design space of like such a swingy thing.
Okay, yeah.
Like quite as much. I don't know.
You want to know my honest answer?
What's that?
It's actively bad.
Okay.
I don't know if you're like trying to dance around me being like, would I like it?
But... No. It's one of those things where I can actively see the appeal of it though, because it's one of those things where it's like it can be your long shot. Mm-hmm. It can be, like especially for the casual player. It's like, oh my god, I got it off, and it like totally ruined his guy, and that was awesome.
Yep.
Yeah. But I don't actively like it. I can see the appeal, but I don't like it.
I just don't like that. The whole game, you have to respect this because it could just wipe you off the map.
Right.
But most of the time, it actually does nothing. So I think it's like kind of frustrating for both sides.
Yep.
And in addition to like, I don't like how luck based it is, and I think there's other like story moments too that you don't need to like fabricate it in a swingy rule.
Right, I agree.
Is my whole thought. And how I'd like to change this is get rid of his rule that says he can cast Arcane Bolt as many times as he wants. I would keep his command ability that gives the plus 6-inch range, because I think that's a really cool part of Archon. Mm-hmm. And I would change Curse of Years to be at the range it is now, just D3 or 3D3 mortal wounds. So he's almost like an artillery piece.
Oh, sure.
And it's the same damage as like the mortal wound charging. And then you also still have your spellcasting slots. Especially in a world where you want to like get rid of his or tamper his spellcasting a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe he just has +1 and he needs to be in Null Myriad to get +2.
I think that's the way to do it too.
Yeah.
Because then it fits too. And are you proud of me that I actually knew that Archon's subfaction was Null Myriad? I actually remember.
I am proud of you, yeah. And like you brought it up first too, even, yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. But like that's just like a minor thing I would do with him. And I just like massage his numbers a little bit so he's not like actively terrible in combat like he is now. You don't need to make him good.
Right.
But like you don't need to be like, I need to move 4 wounds of Reavers. And I don't know if I can do it, and I probably won't. But I have to try.
Just make it a little better.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all I feel.
Yep.
And I think that'll conclude today. Reasonable. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, anyone new? Or anyone watching the show? If you like it, I guess do the thing. Leave a like, subscribe, all the things.
But all the things that YouTubers tell you to do. You know them. I'm sure.
Yeah, absolutely. But you know what? Thank you for joining today. We had a great time. I don't know what we're going to do next week, but I guess we'll figure it out, huh? Oh, I know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Book reviews.
Oh, yeah, I do too. Book reviews.
Book reviews, yeah.
Woo!
Absolutely. Which is another reason why I think it would be great to finish this off the way we did. We don't need to type it out, but you know what?